Hey everybody, SoxHeather here, and it is Tasty Tuesdays, and we are doing a recipe for Tasty Tuesday in honor of Heather over at Heathy J11 doing her Detroit half marathon and killing it on Sunday. Congratulations, very proud of you. If you don't subscribe to her, go right now, pause my video, open up a new window, go to YouTube, search for Heathy J11, open her page, click subscribe. Total inspiration. Add her on Facebook at Finding Her Happy Pace. She always has something positive to say. She always has a smile, and she's rocking it. She's just rocking life. So anyway, in honor of her doing her half marathon in an amazing time, I'm going to do a recipe that she requested. I had put it out there on Facebook. Hey, you guys, give me some recipes that you want me to lighten up. And one of the probably 7 things that she put on there was fish and chips, a skinnier version of fish and chips. And that is a challenge that I am willing to take on because my husband absolutely loves fish and chips. And it's going to be quite a challenge to make a skinny fish and chips that he likes. So I'm nervous, but here we go. I'm going to start with the chips because they take longer to bake than the fish. Obviously, if I'm making the skinny fish and chips, it's not going to be deep fried. It's all going to be baked. So I need to get these potatoes in the oven, and we're actually not going to do regular potatoes. We're doing yams. You can do sweet potatoes. You can do regular potatoes. We just happen to love yams around these parts. And also, I just don't have regular potatoes on stock, but we always have yams in stock at our house. So I'm going to get started on these taters, and then we'll move on to the fish. See you in a minute. The first thing you want to do before you preheat that oven, you want to position your racks. Boy, that's hot. The top rack should go in the top third of the oven, and the bottom rack should go in the bottom third because you're going to put one thing here and one thing here. So you want to make sure those are positioned before it gets hot. That way you don't have to worry about burning yourself. Let's get started on those potatoes. Okay, so we have our potatoes going. I have the recipe calls for, and I will post the recipe below so you can follow the exact directions because I rarely do. But the recipe calls for 1.5 pounds russet potatoes cut into 1/4 inch thick wedges. I used about 2.5 pounds of yams cut into about a 1/4 inch wedge. And then it calls for 4 teaspoons canola oil. I increased that to 6 because of the amount of potatoes I have. And it calls for 1.5 teaspoons of seasoning. They said Cajun or Creole. We don't want Cajun or Creole. I'm just using regular seasoning salt. So I just have oil and seasoning salt in here, and I'm going to give it a good toss to make sure everything's evenly coated. Now what you want to do when you do these potatoes is when you wash them, after you peel them, you want to give them a rinse, and then you want to dry them very well because you don't want the water on the potatoes when they cook. You want the oil. You also want to make sure all the fries are roughly the same size. You want to get them pretty close to the same size because they're going to bake at the same time. And you want them all to bake at the same time, of course. Same temperature, same time. You want them all to be ready. You don't want some soft fries and some crispy fries, unless that's what you're into, and then by all means do whatever you like. So I'm just going to finish tossing these, and then I'm going to put them on a baking pan that I have sprayed with canola oil. Okay, now we've got our potatoes done. They're nice and coated with the olive oil. I'm going to take them, and these are going on the bottom rack of that oven. And I'm going to kitchen timer it, you can see it, for 30 minutes. Oops. Well, and there we go. Okay, so we're going to get started on the fish, but before we do, I want to tell you guys that, of course, I've changed the recipe from where it stands exactly online. They used cod. I'm using flounder just because that's what I had. And I also added something to the recipe. I'm going to go ahead and just show you what I've got going on so you can see it better. So they call for 1 pound of fish. I've got about 2 pounds here, so I'm increasing my numbers. There's the flounder. In this bowl, they would have you just mix egg whites, which I have. I have about 3/4 cup egg whites in here. But I also have about 2.5 tablespoons of mayonnaise. And the reason I add mayonnaise is because if you've ever made fried chicken with mayonnaise as a coating, it is moist. So I thought I'd add a little bit of that to my egg whites as the wash to try to add a little bit of moisture to this fish. And then here I have panko and organic breadcrumbs. Now they would have you use cornflakes and grind them up. I have panko on hand. Panko are really good breadcrumbs, but I ran out of them, so I had to supplement them with organic breadcrumbs from Trader Joe's. But panko is a really good low-cal choice and a great way to crunch things up. And then I added about 1.5 teaspoons of seasoning salt, and I mixed that in with the breadcrumbs. So if you look behind the ingredients here, what I've got is a pan, an ill-fitted pan because I had to make it work, with a wire rack on it. The fish is going to go on this wire rack. Obviously my wire rack is a lot bigger than my pan, so it's going to hang out a bit, but it's going to get the job done. Obviously I need to purchase a new pan or a new wire rack, but that's what we're working with. I sprayed that rack with canola oil, and what I'm going to do is before I put the fish down, I'm going to spray the side with a little bit of canola oil, and then I'll spray the top with a little bit of canola oil before I put it in the oven. Okay, so here's the finished fish, and I've given them all a little shot of canola oil on top of them. They took the breading pretty well, so I think we're going to have a good chance at it being crispy. Now, as you can see, I didn't even come close to using all of the egg whites and the mayonnaise that I put in there. So, really curious as to how much I use. So let me get a... So I've got this half cup measuring cup, and I'm crazily going to pour the rest of what was left in here because, as you can see, there's more than half a cup left of my mixture, so I'm not going to count those calories in my recipe. So that's what's left of that, and this is what's left of the breadcrumbs, and I'm not going to measure it because that's going to get messy, but I would say I used about 2/3 of the breadcrumbs that I put out there, so that's good. That's a calorie saver. I'm going to put those in the oven on the top rack above the potatoes, but what I forgot to tell you is the potatoes should be flipped every 10 minutes. So I've turned the potatoes, but one thing I wanted to point out too is those are too close together. Technically they should be on a bigger sheet and they should have a little more space so they can brown up. Hopefully we won't have a problem with that, but we'll see. I'm going to get that fish in the oven. Now, I set the potatoes for 30 minutes and the fish are supposed to go for 20 minutes. So you can see I've gotten it just about at the right time. It took me about 10 minutes to assemble the fish and we're good to go. So I'm just going to wait until this timer goes off and check everything. Let me see. I'm telling you the right thing. Yep, you leave the fish alone. You do not turn them over. I was checking that. So don't flip them, just let the fish go, but the potatoes you should flip every 10 minutes. And here we have the finished product. I ended up adding about 15 minutes to the fish and about 20 minutes to the potatoes. They just didn't crisp up like I like them. So as I said, put them in a bigger pan and spread them out. Give them room to breathe. They're soft and they're kind of, I don't know, they're not crispy like I wanted. But this is the fish. It actually definitely crisped up quite a bit.
The chips might be better in the toaster oven.
Yeah, probably. Okay, we're going to have the taste tester. Okay, so first you're going to try it just crispy fish by itself, yeah?
No condiments.
Okay. Is it good? Does it meet the standards of the boy born in England who loves fish and chips?
It's a different kind of fish.
Yeah. You're right. They use cod in England, huh?
Or like
haddock.
Haddock.
Yeah.
But it's just...
But it's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good fish. It's just not the same.
And he's putting malt vinegar on it. Notice we have to have the British vinegar. That's what he loves.
London pub. Yeah. Yeah, I think that might be enough.
Yeah. He loves a lot of vinegar.
You know what? It also helps. Not for my wife, but it helps. No, not for my wife. But if you put a lot on, people don't want to touch your food.
Oh, true. Yeah, yeah.
My mom. Oh, this is too much vinegar. I don't take that.
That's your dad's accent.
It is my.
Are you gonna eat it with the? I'm waiting for you to try
I
it
got
with the vinegar.
on my hands. Okay. Oops. Oh, and it just goes.
I think you got the one piece without vinegar on it.
Yeah.
We good?
Or the one piece without.
I knew it.
Goodness.
It's too crispy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Malt vinegar. Boom.
So it's a thumbs up.
What?
Try the fries. They fall apart. They're too soft.
Yeah, the fries are excellent.
Okay.
No doubt about it.
Okay.
I'm washing my
Thumbs
hands.
up.
Don't.
Say, just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming.
We like the fishy that you're eating.
What? Oh yeah.